for substitute teachers and current teachers to access it online. I want an automated system. If you think having accounts is better, sure.
Subs confirmed that they were going to cover for teachers, then has to cancel. What's the process?
If the sub has confirmed that they're going to replace a teacher and if they have to cancel, what is the process? Currently, the process is that I find another substitute teacher.
Is there any time when we're not expecting the sub to respond to notification, like 2 to 4 in the morning? You expect them to be asleep, so we give them more than 30 minutes to reply?
The question is, if the substitute teacher is not reply back from 2 to 4 in the morning because they're sleeping or whatever. Right now, I wake up at 4:30 and call them. So if your system can do it after 4:30,
When it comes to managing data as the administrator, I assume this is now starting to become a website-oriented thing, so you do it from home. What is your favorite way of managing data? Do you have a program that you use, like what's your favorite kind of website?
On sheets.
I want to make this system as easy for you to use as possible.
She puts it on sheets.
Current systems that you're familiar with, just work on it to restore everything else.
right now the only computer system I use or a website that I use is Gmail. You there? On your cell phone.
Talk about your budget. Two things come to mind immediately. For $20,000, it sounds like more of software license that you can from us. Do you intend to own
Do I tend to own the system or rent it? I tend to own this.
Okay. So you have the computers in place to run it already, or does this need to be purchased?
The question is, do I have the computers in place to run it, or do I need to purchase the computers? I have one computer in my office. If you can make the system run it for me. Someone else. You.
What are the requirements that the substitutes have to meet when they register to successfully be into the system?
The question is, what are the requirements that the substitutes have to meet in order to be enrolled in the system? Well, firstly, they should have the required degree, knowledge, and everything is what I check. Secondly, they should have a good record as the teacher. So my background check is mainly of no criminal records or, no weird stuff.
What's your timeline for this project? Like, as soon as possible, obviously.
What's my timeline for this project? By the end of this course, so 10 weeks from now.
Well, it's in terms of rolling it out, so, because you obviously have to test with a smaller subset. You can't just roll this out right away.
I can't?
There's going to be a lot of problems probably with that. So are there any teachers do you have a group of teachers that you know that would be good to test it out on the first round?
The question is, I can't deploy the system immediately. Well, can't you do the testing part of it?
In 5 weeks, yeah, I guess. 10 weeks, I think is okay.
Okay, you can do it.
Weeks is okay.
Is the rating done in numbers? Are the ratings of substitutes done in numbers already?
By the students?
So
the question is, are the ratings of the substitute teachers done in numbers? Yes.
Okay, so this $20,000. Are you expecting that $20,000 to cover future maintenance, or are you going to pay me more for maintenance? And what's on this standardized paper? Because I feel like all our data is going to come from these sheets of documents. What exactly is on there?
So the question is, am I willing to pay more for maintenance? Do you need more?
Or are you expecting to pay more for maintenance?
Am I expecting to pay more for
Do you think that $20,000 covers maintenance for the next year? Like, what are you expecting there?
The cheaper, the better.
Okay, and what's on the standardized forms exactly? Because I feel like I'm going to be getting most of my data from there.
The question is, what is on the standardized forms? The name of the teachers, their address, subject knowledge, if they have ever substituted before. Any criminal records of the teachers as well is put in.
Why would you?
Isn't like, you know, they've done any weird stuff in the past.
Okay.
So it's always.
Is the rating on there as well, or do I have to get the rating from somewhere else?
Well, if it's a new substitute teacher, they wouldn't have a rating, right? So
No, do the documents that you have already have the ratings?
the documents that I have, do they have the rating? Yes.
Okay, so you got rating and oh, and availability, right?
Yes, they have availability as well.
Just don't know.
Question is, do I want the teachers to rate the substitutes or only students? What is the benefit of having the teachers rate the substitutes?
Rating.
Sure, if you think it's useful, why not? You can put it in your algorithm or whatever you're. The question is, can substitutes have more than one expertise? Yes.
Does the school have an existing website?
The question is, does the school have an existing website at all? Yes, but I don't use it as much because it does not help me with.
And the follow-up, would we be able to have access to it to run the software off? It sounds like it would be best to run it on the internet.
The question is, would you be able to get access to the system in order to run it on the internet? Well, I'll get back to you on Tuesday on that question because I need to talk to the current system administrator.
How does the system, how should it deal with recurring days? Like, say the curriculum is out for 3 days, how should the system deal with that? Like, should they call substitute time or?
Well, the question is, how should the system handle the substitute assignment for a teacher who isn't going to be present for 3 consecutive days? So currently, if there is one substitute teacher who is available for all 3 days, they're assigned. If they're available for 2 out of the 3 days, they're assigned for the 2 days, and we have one other teacher assigned for the 3rd day. So it just goes on.
Every time someone asks a question, we kind of like dodge it. Since we aren't details about the system where you want, would you get in trouble for adding features that you never told us to add?
The question is, since I'm not giving y'all enough details about the system that I want, first, welcome to the real world, would I be mad? Will you get in trouble if extra features are added to the system? I wouldn't know what extra features you're going to add, so it kind of depends on.
So we can just do whatever we want for the
Well, I will look at your prototype or whatever and make sure I'm satisfied with the system. The question is, I give a substitute teacher 30 minutes to respond, and if they do not respond back in 30 minutes, do I go through the whole list?
Like, if you exhaust the list,
Okay.
there's still time for class.
So if I complete the list of how many ever substitute teachers, and if there's still time before a class, do I contact the first teacher again? Right now, if they do not give me a negative response, I contact them again. If they give me a negative response, I do not contact them.
Would you like some sort of printing form that kind of has similar data on it to the standardized form? Like which contains like a list of teachers or substitutes, things like that, in case the system goes down, so that you can have a list for your records?
The question is, do I want a list of printed forms so that in case the system goes down, I should have the list for my records? I don't expect the system to go down. If it does go down,
You say that sometimes you are notified a month before or a couple days in advance, and that you look for a sub right away. Does the 30-minute limit still stand for that notification?
The question is, at times substitute teachers may notify me, say, a month in advance or a couple of weeks in advance. And does the 30-minute limit still stand there? Well, currently, if the teachers are getting back to me, say, a month in advance, I give each substitute teacher a day to respond back to my request. It really depends. So if it is, say, after 2 weeks, I would reduce the time limit to half a day to respond back to me. And for the same day, it would be half an hour. That's okay.
What happens if the teacher doesn't show up, or says I show up for class, and then so you get a sub to fill in, but then that same teacher before class starts says he can make it, or she can make it. What is the process for that?
The question is, if a teacher says they're not going to show up for class and assign a substitute teacher, and then the teacher shows up for class, or they say that they can make it to class, well, it would be unprofessional on my part to tell the substitute teacher not to teach. So currently, I allow the substitute teacher to take the class.
Which font would you like to be emailed in?
Comic Sans.
Comic Sans.
Yeah, would you prefer like Cambria or Arial, Times New Roman?
What font would I like to be emailed in?
Wingding.
The whole system she's on a Windows.
Whatever you think is fine. Do I still expect to keep the paper records that I have? Yes. I wouldn't like to throw them away just because you have an automated system in place. The question is, should even contact information of the teachers be listed? Yes. So the question is that I mentioned survey forms are given to the students after each class, and what is on these forms? Well, there are just mainly two questions. Firstly, how would you rate the teacher? Secondly, did the teacher have the said subject knowledge?
To ensure that only substitutes register, would you be willing to pass something along from the system when you register, when you add them into the system? Can you do that?
So the question is, would I do the background check?
No. After you do the background check, would you be willing to pass some information to the system saying that this teacher is certified, that this teacher has given
So the question is, after I do a background check, would I be willing to inform the system that the teacher is fine and everything? Yes.
Namrata.
My question is,
Namrata. 2 questions.
Wait, sorry, repeat again.
It's supposed to be an automated system, but for any reason, should you be able to make changes to it? So if you get notified that she's supposed to be teaching in a classroom, but you personally know that that teacher doesn't like to be in that classroom, should you be able to make changes? Or should whatever the automated system say it goes?
Would the system notify me of that the changes are required?
After the system notifies you that teacher is not to that classroom, should you be able to make changes to that?
The system should automatically make the changes for me if possible. So what kind of changes are you talking about?
Say that the system picks a wrong teacher, for example. Should you be able to make changes?
The question is, if the system picks a wrong teacher, shouldn't your algorithm make sure it doesn't pick a wrong teacher? That's why you're hired, right? How do I contact the system? If the teacher isn't going to be present for the class, like a substitute teacher, they should inform the system automatically.
No, I mean like a teacher himself, or needs a substitute teacher. Tells you he's not coming. You know, so how does the system
Ideally, I would like the teacher to notify the system directly.
So that the teacher has permission to send information to them, telling them date, time,
Yes.
date and time of where the class.
Yes.
Number last
you
question.
mentioned something earlier where if all the entire list of a certain subject is exhausted, what would happen? In this case, like say all your science teachers are exhausted, what happens in that case?
If a teacher having a particular subject knowledge is not available, I would expand my search to other teachers.
And how would that work? How does the expansion work?
I would, firstly, it would go into reverse order, so the issues of location would be first, like, if they're a little farther away from the school, that would be okay. Then if they have received a lower rating, that would be fine. So it would just go in the reverse order to the previous
No,
one.
but I mean in the case that there aren't any more particular subjects available, and there's other subjects available, like only that you teach math or English or random assignments. Okay.
Guys, you have 2 minutes left. I would really take advantage of it. It's a big project.
Substitute notifies the system that they are going, but they don't show up. What do you do? What is the current process?
The question is if the currently did not come or...
If a substitute teacher notifies you that they're coming, but they don't show up, what do you do? And what would you like on your system?
When do they notify me about it?
Like say they agree, like you call them at 4:30 in the morning, and they said they will show up, but they don't show up. What is the procedure?
Well, first off, they're given a negative marking in the files, saying that they didn't show up for the system, and they're always given a last priority for assignment to a particular subject, because it's a big deal if they can't be professional and not show up. So, it's their loss. Could you repeat that? For $20,000, you build the system and?
However, for us, it's going to cost to keep it up and running for you. Depending on the cost, if you want to have it on your side, like what you try to keep a solution.
The question is, would I be willing to incur the maintenance cost? If you can have the maintenance in $20,000, good. Well, if you can't, I am willing to pay extra for maintenance.
How much extra?
What do you think your budget is?
$2 million.
None. If you give me a reasonable budget, I would think about it.
Thank you.
21. Time's up.